Safariland versus US duty gear. King versus the newcomer. Assembled in Mexico versus made in America. I'm going to show you some of their features, let you know my thoughts, and then let you make your own decision of which one you think you would like better. Let me tell you first off, my Safariland 6390 RDS I bought myself. I did use Kyle Morgan's code. If I still know what it is, I'll put it up on screen somewhere. Now, US Duty Gear did send me two holsters, one for the Glock 19/Glock 45, better 19X, and then one for the Glock 17. Now, them sending me these holsters does not sway my opinion in any way, and I was not paid by US Duty Gear to make this video. Now, the ALS system on these holsters is the same, but different.
Same, but different, but still same.
As far as disassembly goes and the possibility of having to replace parts, I personally like US Duty Gear on their system because it's just these two screws up top. You can take everything out and replace whatever you need to. For Safariland though, there's a lot more steps that have to do with the spring and also getting out your ALS system from the Kydex itself that I'm not really going to go into right now. Now, I will give Safariland its props. Their ALS system to me is a little bit smoother than the US Duty Gears. Not in a major way where I think it would be a big deciding factor between the two, but I think it is a little bit more noticeable when you're switching back between holsters. Between the two buttons, I prefer US Duty Gears because it is a bigger surface area compared to Safariland, and it also has these cuts on it to give you a little bit more texture and grip when trying to unholster your gun. Now, something you can buy for Safariland is the OTD nub. Been using the nub for a little bit now, and honestly, I love it. US Duty Gear is supposed to have one coming out soon. I don't know when, but I know they have been in works with it, and I am curious to see how it performs with the US Duty Gear, because again, I do like the nub on the Safariland. Now, one thing I will point out with US Duty Gear is I have noticed their thumb button is about a ½ inch or maybe just a little bit less than a ½ inch more forward than Safariland. I don't think that's going to be a big deciding factor when it comes to buying either holster, especially if you're training with one or the other. But if you are going back and forth between Safariland or US Duty Gear, you may notice a little bit of a difference, but it's not super noticeable that it's going to be a giant deal breaker for you. Now, honestly, the draw feel on these two holsters is very similar. Personally, I prefer US Duty Gears because I don't have the nub, again, like I do on the Safariland. To me, that nub just gives you that little bit of a better purchase when trying to unholster your gun. And with US Duty Gear in its stock form, I prefer this because, again, of that bigger and textured button. I want to interject real quick because there's something I want to add to this video while I'm editing it, and yes, that is SpongeBob playing in the background. While I was at the range, as you can see here, I was kind of short-changing the US Duty Gear holster, and I wasn't thinking much of it because I was, again, swapping back and forth between Safariland and the US Duty Gear one, and I didn't think much of it until my friend said something when he was messing with the US Duty Gear holster that the travel on the thumb release for US Duty Gears compared to Safariland is just a tad bit longer. So when I was trying to release my gun from the holster, I wasn't fully engaging the thumb release like I do with the Safariland one because it's just a little bit shorter. I'm not entirely sure of how good or bad that is, but something that I kind of wanted to throw in here and let you guys know that I noticed that after it was said and kind of noticed it as I'm editing right now. I believe with training it would just be something to get used to, but something I thought I would throw in here. Back to the video. Now, with this button, I would say it is harder to miss the thumb button because it is bigger again. I'm not saying that I miss my button with the Safariland. They're both very smooth actions. It's just looking at surface area, you would imagine the bigger button is going to be harder to miss than a smaller button. Now, on the inside of these two holsters, there are fairly similar. The Safariland kind of has more of like leather backing. Like if you were to take a piece of leather and look at the back, that kind of like suede, rough material kind of feels like what Safariland is. US Duty Gear, on the other hand, feels a little bit more of like a synthetic kind of suede. I believe both of them are synthetic, but US Duty Gear feels a little bit more thicker. And again, Safariland just kind of feels a little bit more like leather to me. Now, clearly, Safariland does come with their hood US Duty Gear does not. The hood is mainly if you have an open emitter and you don't want a whole bunch of dust and dirt going in there. If you care about that type of thing, that's not too big of a deal for me. If dirt gets in there, dirt's going to get in there either way. Dirt does not care if you have a hood or not. Now, both of them do have the same QLS screw layout, so you can switch between whatever you want. QLS, US Duty Gear does have their own SLS coming soon that is similar to the QLS system, in my opinion, a little bit more slimmer and in a somewhat of a better design. Or you can use something like I use the Blade Tech or G-Code, whatever fits you. They also do have the same tension screw on the back if you need a little bit more grip on your gun, if it's a little bit wobbly in the holster. Now, light options are honestly where these two holsters get a little bit different. Currently, I am running an X300 on my Glock 45. I also run a TLR1 HL. Now, with my Safariland, I can run either of these lights on my gun just fine and swap in between the two without having to do anything to my holster. Unfortunately, right now for US Duty Gear, these two holsters that I have for them are only good for the X300 and X300 variants from O-Light, Streamlight, whichever ones you want to go with. Those are the only ones that are going to fit in here right now. They do, I believe, have a holster for the TLR1 that is coming out at some point, but unfortunately, I can't run either one in this holster like I can the Safariland. Personally, I like running my X300. I ran the TLR1 for a long time because that's the light that I had, and it works great. If that's something you're looking for, being able to switch in between lights, then Safariland might be the most versatile holster for that. If you're fine with running one light on your holster, then I don't think it matters on either one. Now, the last thing I want to talk about with these two holster companies is accessories. That is where Safariland, I think, shines over any holster company at the moment. Safariland to me is like the iPhone of accessories. Everybody makes accessories for Safariland because I believe they've been around the longest, and it's just the most industry standard holster for everybody. Now on my Safariland, all I'm running right now, again, is my OTD nub. I have a ghost portal in the bottom, and then I also have a threaded barrel attachment. Now, what I'm running on my US Duty Gear, obviously you can see the Black Box Customs bracket for a tourniquet, and I also have a ghost portal on this one. I'm not sure what other accessories you can get on US Duty Gear. I do believe you can get a Black Box Customs bracket for Safariland as well. Now, for US Duty Gear, I don't have my gun. Now, for US Duty Gear, I don't believe you can get a threaded barrel attachment. I just take my barrel plug out. That's what I did so that I can run my Glock 45 with my Parker Mountain Machine comp, and it fits perfectly fine. I can't run that comp with my Safariland unless I want to cut out this bottom part or, you know, take a heat gun to it and reform things, and I really don't trust myself enough to do that. Now comes the question of which holster do I prefer? Well, honestly, I don't care. Between the two, if I had to choose right now, I would say US Duty Gear, only because I can run my comp and the way that I want to configure my gun, and that's only because I have the Glock 17 holster. Now, there's so many other detailed things that I could go in more depth into this video about these two holsters, but I don't want to spend 45 minutes on this entire video just kind of going over boring stuff. So I encourage you to do your own research, look into these holsters, look into other holster companies as well, and see which one works for you, depending on what accessories you want to run, what gun you want to run, what light you want to run. There's a lot of different variables, and really it comes down to personal preference. So I'd like to know down in the comments, based on this video, which one do you like? Which holster do you run, or do you even run a holster, or do you just kind of front pocket that thing and hope for the best? Let me know down below. And I probably said something stupid, so go ahead and let me know what I said in that as well. Now, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.